Child safety at places of worship presents a dilemma. Ideally, a church is supposed to be a welcoming place or any other place of worship. And because of the different circumstances that we face these days, we find that increasingly we have to apply a lot of security measures, even in places like our churches. So then how do religious institutions create this balance of being welcoming but still being careful about the safety concerns, and especially the safety concerns of children? And today, to discuss that, I'm happy to have Pastor Alexander Fred Oyola of Nairobi Chapel, and we'll just try to put our heads together to see a few ways that we can be able to keep our sanctuaries safe, so that we can also continue to have the comfort of faith without fear. So for you, what is your take around, is it necessary to have safety measures within our Sunday schools, the same way we have safety security checks in banks, offices, and other public places like malls?
Yes, it is definitely necessary. As a parent myself, I think I'm at peace when I know that wherever my child is going, there's safety, it's secure. And so even the church space must be secure. God has told us in His Word that children are a gift in Psalms 127. They are a gift. So the same way we take care of gifts, we must take care of our children. And so churches must be in a space where they're providing proper security, all the way from the gate to the sanctuary to the Sunday school. And so that begins even by the policies that we offer. We have a child security policy that offers everything from the hiring of the staff, the people that take care of our children, to how we manage the spaces of where our children are worshiping. And so it's something we do, and it is very important. If you have a place, or you're going to a church, or you belong to a group or organization that takes care of children but does not have a safety policy, ole wako, there's a problem. Yes.
Let me take you back. You said something very important about a policy and looking into the people that are employed.
Yes.
So in the developed countries, we have quick things like background checks.
Yes.
It's very easy to go into some certain database and just quickly check and say, is Mariana an offender?
Yes.
Are they allowed to work with children?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, within developed countries, we don't have that luxury.
Yes.
But I am sure within the measures that people have, they have ways that they do that.
Exactly.
So how do you check the background of these people that you're employing within the church, for the Sunday school especially?
Yeah, one of the first things we do is check the employment history, where they've worked. So we'll go back to the spaces and talk to at least 80 or 90% of the guys who they've worked with, and especially the ones that are prior just to them coming to our spaces. And so we will do a thorough check of how they worked in those spaces, how they engaged the children, were there any issues, were they able to be very serious, especially with the issue of kids maybe going to the loo, or just going outside of the class. What did they do about it? The very minute things that sometimes we might not check. And then once we do that, this obviously is maybe before or after we sit down with the person and just engage them, see their experience. And mostly what we're trying to do is find out whether this person has a passion and a love for children. Because if it is just a job, then chances are, again, this is somebody who's probably not really caring about what the safety of a child will look like or looks like. And so it is very important to do a background check based on where they've been. Go ahead to sit down with them extensively. Not these 1 hour, 2 hour Java discussions. Just have an intense sitting down with this person, and then just find out whether they have a passion and a love for children. And then by the end of that, you should have at least come to a concrete decision about whether this person will be good for your children, whether them being in the space of your child will be okay.
That's awesome. So we have looked at least the people that we are hiring,
Yes.
and how we are okaying them before letting them to be with the children.
Yes.
On the flip side, sometimes when you want to create something like a policy around safety or any other thing, it needs involvement of other people. And so in some instances, when you involve even the parents themselves, some of them say, my child can never go missing. Children don't go missing. And even if they do go missing, it's for these dangerous things, So our children can't go missing. And if it's child trafficking, the police will handle it. So they look at only the serious reasons. They don't look at the simplest thing in terms of a child will just get lost because they are a child. Have you ever gotten lost?
I don't remember. But my brother, my small brother, got lost. He was an explorer. Those guys who just want to just move around and do stuff. Me, I was a nice child, so I was always around. So for him, I remember that time it was very scary, but he was found because our community was not that big. So akupotea sana. Yes.
So what is the importance of making it known to the people involved, especially the parents of the children who are coming to your Sunday school? What is the importance of making them know that it is possible that a child can get lost? People say it cannot be me. It's the things that we see in the TV.
Yes.
How do you make it an acceptable discussion? Yes.
God takes it very seriously when he gives you a gift of a child. It is very serious. It's not just, I've wanted a baby for 10 years, or here you are. He expects you to take care of it, not just holistically, but naturally as well. You provide a lot of care in your house. When you go into your home, you have a gate, you lock it, you make sure the key is only you who has it and not anybody else. And you have so many locks just before you put the kid in a room and lock that room as well. And so when you come to the space of worship, we expect the same sort of seriousness. The checklist becomes very intense because all of a sudden you've moved from 5 children or 10 when you're only 5 couples. Now you are almost 100 or 200 children. And so it is very important. Jesus got lost. Yes, and guys don't remember that. They assume because he was Jehovah, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, he was not really lost. But he was lost. Seme tu kweli.
Wow.
Yes. The Israelites had festivals. They have 3 about every year. And so at one time, the parents go, Mary and Joseph, they take Jesus with them. He was about 12 years old. And they go to the festival, and I don't know whether it's because of the craziness of what was happening there. They met their friends. On the way back, these guys realized 2-3 days later that Jesus is not with them. How that happened, that's story for another day. I'm not very sure. But it can happen.
It can happen because if you're looking at big numbers,
exactly,
and you're assuming that we came as, let's say the way we do vijiji, kijiji ya St. Joseph tumekuja pamoja. So each parent is looking out for the other parent's children. So you're in the convoy, you're assuming your children with, you're with the other St. Joseph children. Then 2 days later you realize your child is not. It can happen.
And then after it happens, they had to now go back and find the dude. So if this is the question now we lay to our parents and guys who are just not believing in this missing children thing. If God in human form got lost, what of your child? And then we leave it there. If he got lost, your child can get lost. It is a normal thing. It is not that it's a curse, no. It can happen to any of us. And so it is high time, as guys who are parents, guardians, looking after children in any kind of way, to start being serious about our children and their safety.
What is interesting, an aspect that humanizes and makes the congregants and the parents of the children of the Sunday school know that it can happen. And I think if we look at the life history of Jesus, you'll see that there are very few stories around that age of his.
Yes.
That was around 12, 13. There are very few stories. There's the birth, and then there's very little stories, 12, 13. After that, we get to 30-something, his ministry.
Yes.
There must be an important reason why this particular issue was included within the Gospels. Just looking at touching human issues. So we've looked at the people we are employing. We are looking at the importance of the parents buying into this, and looking at also managing fear and concerns by making them aware that it's normal for a child to get lost. If you're looking at your church, you said something that from the time the child gets into the gate, you should have mapped out something that you will say at point X, Y, Z. This child is taken care of, and we can be able to account for that. What are some of these areas that are very important for you when you look at your church? And you say for the children in the Sunday school, these are the areas that are key in looking at their safety. What are they?
Right from the entrance, we have a security guard who has been advised not to allow any child to come out during service, because you have those children. My boy is one of them. At least I can touch on that because he's mine. Just explores. I almost caught him today just leaving a door, and I'm like, Kijana. It's normal. And so from the gate, there's that one. Once they come in, right at the entrance, we have our children pastors. We have 2 of them, and so they lead them straight into the children's space. When they're going to the toilet, because we are still a very small congregation, we have about 40 in our congregation as we speak, and so it is very easy to check on them. And so from the children's space, we have the 2, and then at the end of the service, the parent must be at least the one coming to pick the child. So there's the gate, we have the two children pastors, and then the parents as well, because the parent will release the child and will also come back for the child. For bigger churches, I think it's a bit different, but for us, now with our small community, those are our checkpoints. We just make sure the security guard knows nobody comes out, especially after they come in. The children pastors have a checklist. They have something there to just have all the names of the kids plus the parent or whichever guardian has come with the child. Sometimes, like I was saying before, you find that the guardian might come in, drop the child with the parent might stop. The parent might come in and drop the child, and then have a guardian or somebody that they have authorized to come and pick the child. In that situation, the pastors must know, and it's something we are very keen on. I drop the child at 11 o'clock. I'll be leaving at 11:15, but when the service is done at 1, so and so will be coming. This is their details, the name, the phone number, ID, if so required. And so those are our checkpoints, because we are still a very small community anyway.
But I think I like the important points where you have looked at the child's interaction points. And for me, I've seen 3 areas where you're saying about your checklist. So there's the check-in.
Yes.
And then there's the checkout.
Yes.
And then there's the checkup.
Yes.
In terms of following up, if at all they were dropped, if at all someone has delayed to come pick them, or if at all they still feel they need to leave by themselves. So there's check-in, check-out, check-up, in terms of just helping to quickly look at some of the simpler ways. And I like the simplicity of what we do. We need to demystify and just help people know that when you're talking about a safety policy, we are not talking about a 30-page manifesto, something that needs to be launched, ribbons cut, and then people discuss it because you need to look at Section 3, Manual A. It will confuse people more. You're just looking at such simple things where you're saying, this is how we check in, this is how we check out, and this is how we check up. And everyone is on the same page, and you're able to quickly do things. And this is also important because in the space of children, you don't have time to look at a manual while taking care of the children. Even parenting itself does not come with that manual. Yes, you go with the flow. So when you have simple things like that, they can be applicable even as your congregation grows, as you manage your Sunday school. Now, there's certain things that people also look at but don't quite assign to the church space. These days our churches have grown exponentially. You'll find that there's a church, but within the church it has a school, it has a dispensary, a medical dispensary, it has holiday programs. So what are some of the extra things that we need to look out around, not just the service itself, let's call it ministry. What are some of the things around ministry
Yes.
that also we need to be conversant about? Because if we focus so much on the service, we'll forget
Yes.
that there's a long holidays, there's VBS, there's
Yes.
camps,
Yes.
there's missions, there's people coming in, there's concerts. So how are we looking at all those things?
I think one of the things I love about there's one of the churches that are very close to us is they have a doctor that is on call.
Wow.
Yeah, during the service.
Wow.
We are still small. We don't even have a doctor in our congregation. So those are things I look up to. And so it's very important to have things like that. Maybe in your space you have like guys who've worked with maybe the disabled, for example, because that's something we take very seriously in Nairobi Chapel Embakasi as well. One of the things we've done at Embakasi is to make sure that the guys that we are hiring, our children pastors, can take care of special needs kids as well. And so it's something that we've desired for a very long time, and with our community and the way it is today, in as much as we don't see these children on a daily, they are there. And so every once in a while you'll find a special needs child coming into your space. And the problem is, if your guys are not aware, they behave nikama they are seeing something strange for the very first time. And that is very repulsive, especially to parents who are taking care of such kids. And so it is something we take very seriously at Embakasi. A final thing is we really encourage our parents and guys out there to volunteer, especially in terms of things we do outside of Sunday service, like the VBS. We'll have maybe churches getting together to do something for our children, and so we'll ask most of the time for parents to come in and help, and even just extra help. We have young people, we have organizations that we've partnered with like Tindru Foundation, who have a bulk of volunteers specified for the children, and so it really helps. And so it is very important to be just aware of these two extra things that may not even appear on the policies, things that you can influence, because if you're just not aware of them, they might find you very surprisingly, and the result of that may not be very good, especially for the parents involved.
Wow, thank you very much. I think for us who are parents who are bringing our children into churches and the Sunday school space, it's comforting when you know that this is catered for in terms of their safety, and you know that there's people at hand who are pre-vetted, and our children will be safe and free to worship. Exactly. So thank you very much. If we say that we are looking at these policies and saying what are the safety concerns within our spaces, simple things. We have said check in, check out, check up. And it will help us really align as we grow towards creating our ministries to be a safer place. And one particular thing also about such policies is involving the children. The children have a say. When we design things and principles and concepts for children without involving them, then we end up just having beautiful papers that are not applicable. So again, when we involve our children in all this, then we are able to have a space that is welcoming, a space that is comfortable, a space where our children are also free to worship and be themselves in terms of what God's intended wish was. It is said the work of the child is playing. Even within our Sunday school ministries, a lot of the word is taught through play. So if we create a place where the child can play and also pray, those two words are pray and play, then we'll be able to grow our children in the way that we need to.